This documentary explores the fascinating lives and legacies of the figures who shaped Russia's destiny, from the czars of the Russian Empire to the leaders of the Soviet Union and the modern Russian Federation. Through captivating visuals and insightful analysis, we will delve into their defining policies, leadership styles, and the lasting impact they left on Russia and the world. Peter the Great, 1682 to 1725. Peter inherited a vast but isolated Russia and embarked on a radical modernization program. He traveled to Western Europe, absorbing ideas and technologies. Upon his return, he implemented sweeping reforms: a westernized navy, a modern bureaucracy, and a new capital city, St. Petersburg, built on European architectural principles. These reforms transformed Russia into a European power, but they also created a rift between the westernized elite and the traditional Russian society. Fact 1. Peter introduced the Cyrillic alphabet, reforming the writing system to make it more accessible. Fact 2. He actively sought Western technology and expertise, sending Russians abroad to learn shipbuilding and other skills. Fact 3. St. Petersburg became a symbol of Peter's ambition and Russia's new Western orientation. Catherine the Great, 1762 to 1796, continued Peter's legacy of modernization. An astute politician and patron of the arts, she expanded Russia's borders through strategic conquests and colonization. Catherine corresponded with Enlightenment thinkers and positioned herself as a benevolent ruler, though her reign was marked by a brutal serfdom system. Fact 1. Catherine commissioned vast public works projects, including infrastructure development and the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg. Fact 2. She expanded Russia's southern borders, gaining access to the Black Sea and warm water ports. Fact 3. Despite her image as an enlightened despot, Catherine ruthlessly suppressed dissent, such as the Pugachev peasant uprising. The czars of the 19th century, a time of reform and revolution. The 19th century saw a succession of czars grapple with the challenges of modernization, social unrest, and rising nationalism. Alexander I, who ruled from 1801 to 1825, initially pursued liberal reforms, but became increasingly conservative after the Napoleonic Wars. Nicholas the Panson, 1825 to 1855, was a staunch autocrat who suppressed dissent and embarked on ambitious military campaigns. Alexander II, 1855 to 1881, ushered in a period of significant reform, including the emancipation of serfs in 1861. However, these reforms were seen as insufficient by some, leading to the rise of revolutionary movements. Fact 1. Alexander II's defeat of Napoleon in 1812 solidified Russia's status as a major European power. Fact 2. Nicholas I's reign was marked by censorship and repression, earning him the nickname Nicholas the Stick. Fact 3. Alexander II's assassination in 1881 highlighted the growing tensions between the czars and those demanding greater political participation. Vladimir Lenin, 1917 to 1924. The documentary then shifts its focus to the 20th century and the revolutionary figure of Vladimir Lenin. Leader of the Bolshevik Party, Lenin led the overthrow of the Tsarist regime in the 1917 October Revolution and established the world's first communist state, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR. Lenin implemented radical economic policies, nationalizing industries, and collectivizing agriculture. He was a skilled revolutionary strategist and a powerful orator who inspired a generation of communist believers. Fact 1. Lenin's doctrine of democratic centralism combined democratic decision-making within the Communist Party with a centralized leadership structure. Fact 2. He established the Cheka, the first Soviet secret police, which became notorious for its repression of political opponents. Fact 3. Lenin's new economic policy, NEP, introduced a partial market economy after the devastation of the Civil War. Joseph Stalin, 1924 to 1953. Following Lenin's death in 1924, Joseph Stalin rose to power. Stalin's reign was characterized by a brutal dictatorship, industrialization at breakneck speed, and the collectivization of agriculture, which resulted in a devastating famine. The Great Purge, a series of brutal political campaigns, eliminated Stalin's rivals and instilled fear throughout Soviet society. However, Stalin also oversaw the USSR victory over Nazi Germany in World War II, solidifying the Soviet Union's status as a superpower. Fact 1. Stalin's ruthless command of the Red Army played a decisive role in defeating Hitler's forces on the Eastern Front. Fact 2. The human cost of Stalin's industrialization and collectivization was enormous, with millions perishing from famine and repression. Fact 3. Despite the horrors of his rule, Stalin transformed the USSR into a major industrial and military power. Nikita Khrushchev, 1953 to 1964. After Stalin's death in 1953, Nikita Khrushchev became the new leader. He initiated a period of de-Stalinization, denouncing Stalin's cult of personality and relaxing some repressive policies. Khrushchev's thaw fostered a more open atmosphere in Soviet society, but also led to challenges to his authority. He is also remembered for his ambitious agricultural reforms and his role in the Cuban Missile Crisis. Fact 1. Khrushchev's secret speech in 1956 exposed the crimes of Stalinism, shocking Soviet society and communist parties worldwide. Fact 2. He oversaw a significant expansion of Soviet agricultural production, although some of his initiatives, like the Virgin Lands campaign, were ultimately unsuccessful. Fact 3. The Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962 brought the world to the brink of nuclear war, highlighting the dangers of the Cold War rivalry. Leonid Brezhnev, 1964 to 1982. Leonid Brezhnev's long reign, 1964 to 1982, was marked by economic stagnation, political conservatism, and a growing sense of apathy within Soviet society. While initial improvements in living standards created a period of relative stability, the economy increasingly relied on oil production, neglecting innovation and diversification. Brezhnev's leadership style, characterized by gerontocracy, rule by the elderly, stifled reform and left the USSR unprepared for the challenges of the late 20th century. Fact 1. The Brezhnev Doctrine asserted the right of the USSR to intervene militarily in socialist countries, as seen in the 1968 invasion of Czechoslovakia. Fact 2. The Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in 1979 proved to be a costly and ultimately unsuccessful military venture. Fact 3. The Brezhnev era witnessed a growing technological gap between the USSR and the West, further exacerbating the country's economic problems. Mikhail Gorbachev, 1985 to 1991. Mikhail Gorbachev, who came to power in 1985, recognized the need for change and introduced two key reforms: perestroika, economic restructuring, and glasnost, openness. He aimed to revitalize the stagnant Soviet economy and loosen political controls. However, these reforms proved to be a double-edged sword. While they fostered greater freedoms in public debate, they also inadvertently contributed to the rise of nationalist movements within the Soviet republics. Ultimately, Gorbachev's reforms failed to prevent the USSR's collapse in 1991. Fact 1. Gorbachev's policy of glasnost led to a flourishing of cultural expression and criticism of the Soviet system. Fact 2. The Chernobyl nuclear disaster in 1986 exposed the dangers of secrecy and inefficiency within the Soviet system. Fact 3. The collapse of the USSR under Gorbachev's watch marked the end of the Cold War and a dramatic shift in the global balance of power. Boris Yeltsin, 1991 to 1999. Boris Yeltsin, the first president of the newly formed Russian Federation, led the country through a tumultuous period of political and economic transformation. He oversaw the privatization of state-owned industries, a process that enriched some, but also led to widespread poverty and oligarchic control. Yeltsin faced challenges from communist hardliners and nationalist forces, culminating in the 1993 constitutional crisis. Despite the chaos, Yeltsin laid the groundwork for a new democratic Russia. Fact 1. Yeltsin's shock therapy economic reforms aimed for a rapid transition to a market economy, but they caused significant hardship for many Russians. Fact 2. The Chechen Wars in the 1990s highlighted the challenges of managing nationalist movements within the newly independent Russia. Fact 3. Yeltsin's resignation in 1999 paved the way for the rise of Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin, 1999 present. The documentary concludes with a look at Vladimir Putin, who has dominated Russian politics since becoming prime minister in 1999 and president in 2000. Putin has overseen a period of centralization and consolidation of power. He has cracked down on political dissent and strengthened the role of the state in the economy. Under his leadership, Russia has reasserted itself on the world stage, intervening in conflicts like Syria and Ukraine. Here are some key facts about Putin's era. Fact 1. Russia's economy has grown significantly during Putin's rule, fueled by high oil prices. However, this economic growth has been unevenly distributed, and corruption remains a major problem. Fact 2. Putin has cultivated a strongman image and enjoys high approval ratings within Russia. However, his critics accuse him of authoritarian tendencies and a crackdown on human rights. Fact 3. The annexation of Crimea in 2014 and the ongoing war in Ukraine have strained relations between Russia and the West, leading to a new Cold War-like standoff. This documentary provides a brief overview of the major figures who have shaped Russia's trajectory. By understanding their leadership styles, defining policies, and lasting impacts, we gain a deeper appreciation of the complex forces that continue to influence Russia today.